This week on East Texas Politics,
we can't continue at this pace.
Smith County Sheriff Larry Smith joins me to talk about what he's asking for in the next county budget, including millions of dollars in pay raises and more deputies. Plus, funding crisis. Smith County District Attorney Jacob Putman is here to talk about lagging salaries and a lack of positions in his office, and what happens if he doesn't get what he's asking for.
We're going to prosecute all the crimes in Texas. We're going to do a good job, but it means we have to slow down. It means we end up with a backlog.
And later, Smith County Judge Neil Franklin, who says this could be another tight budget. And welcome to another edition of East Texas Politics on East Texas Now. I'm joined now by Smith County Sheriff Larry Smith. Sheriff, thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to do this.
Yes, sir.
Want to talk about budget requests for this year. You and the command staff went before the Commissioner's Court earlier this week, making your case. Tell us, what are you asking for and why do you need it?
We're asking for raises for all of the personnel, pretty much. What's been happening over the last several years, and we asked for a raise last year too, and we just ended up with just a 3% COLA. We're losing people to other small agencies that are making more money than us in the county, as well as we're 10 out of 10 out of like-sized counties in the state of Texas. So we're losing personnel. We're down from being able to hire personnel already certified and commissioned to hiring people now that we're having to send to the academy. Then once they get through the academy and stay here a while, they leave and go somewhere else. And it's just a non-ending battle trying to keep people.
And financially, it's a big request. Across all divisions, it was said this would cost about $5 million. Do you think you'll get what you're asking for, all of it?
Well, I hope we get close to it. But the $5 million, what I'd like to say that I didn't say in Commissioner's Court the other day, is out of 900 personnel in the whole county employees, I have 400 of those 900. So that's nearly half the working staff of the whole county. And the training it takes to get somebody up to where they need to be in order to do the kind of cases we're doing and have a 100% clearance rate in homicide since I've been in office. It takes a lot of personnel. It takes the qualified personnel and trained personnel.
And how hard right now is it, Sheriff, to recruit and retain people?
Almost impossible. We don't get a good group of people coming in to even interview. Like I say, we're down to hiring from another agency, that mediocre personnel, and otherwise we send them to the academy, and it takes nearly a year to get them full circle around the academy. It takes somebody training them and being prepared with them to train them. And then after that, they stay a while and then they leave and go somewhere else where they're paying better.
And when it comes to people leaving, is that the top reason they're giving in those exit interviews?
Absolutely, absolutely. We lost one during Commissioner's Court the other day, went to the private sector, 10-year employee. And that's tough.
Something else that was mentioned in Commissioner's Court this week in that presentation from your command staff, Chief Jimmy Jackson said he'd really like the court to consider giving deputies overtime. Right now, the sheriff's office uses comp time. Is that right?
Right. And that came from, I was talking to the previous auditor, the one that just left, Ms. Smith, and that was her plan to try to get that going as well. The money doesn't do them any good in the bank. These people, they work part-time jobs because of what they're making now, and they don't have any time with their family, and it's all of that compiled together is the reason people are leaving.
In addition to the pay raises, you're also asking for some more deputies. But even then, it was mentioned this week that you're still going to be behind when you look at the ratio of the number of people you have on patrol compared to the number of people who live in the county.
Absolutely. We have, like they went over in court, 0.85 deputies per 1,000 people in the county. And that's in an unincorporated part of the county where we actually enforce the law. And what is recommended is about 1.5, I think, or a little bit more than 1.5. Tyler PD is at close to 1.5. They have about the same amount of people that we're dealing with, but theirs is closer in proximity. Ours are out in the unincorporated part of the county. So we just need to get more personnel where we can fill all the positions. But we have talked to the judge and some of the commissioners, and we can do without. I mean, we need all the people we asked for. We didn't ask for too many, but I understand what it takes to get the raise up there, and that's why I offered the $300,000 of the Senate Bill 22 money. And there's other things too. There's a few people that, if we had to, we could forego some of those extra personnel in order to help find the money to give the ones a raise that need it.
And so you mentioned that when you're looking at priorities, what's at the top of the list?
The raise is priority to stop the bleeding, because it costs a lot of money to train people for other offices, and you lose time, you lose money, and all included. So we could forego a few of those and keep working harder. People can work harder for you if they think they're being paid what their worth is, and I think we can make it happen to save some of the personnel that we're really needing into the next year.
And if you don't get what you're asking for this year, what happens? What does the future look like?
Obviously, we're going to do all we can to do what we need to do for the citizens of Smith County, but it's not going to be, we can't continue at this pace. It's just going to be an impossibility to keep personnel. We're going to have to prioritize what we do, and that will cut some services, I'm sure. If we end up getting these homicides we're getting, sometimes double homicides lately, that takes a lot of time and effort to put those together. It's not a 1 or 2 man investigative job to do. It takes patrol. It takes just about all of CID. That's why we've been successful in having a 100% clearance rate in homicide. Of course, homicide is just one of the crimes. We have burglaries and everything else. But the people of Smith County want and deserve good law enforcement. We want to provide them good law enforcement, but we're going to need the money to do that.
And how did we get so far behind when it comes to the number of positions and the salaries? How did we get here?
I wish I knew. We've asked for raises just about every year I've been here. Many of them we didn't get. Last year we asked for a raise. They came to us and told us that it's going to be a tight year. I went back in with the budget lady, with my command staff. We even sent back more money from our budget, cut more. Last year, we cut twice to get down as thin as it could be, and hoping that we didn't need money that we'd sent back. And we're doing all right. We're going to make it through the fiscal year okay, but we've got to do something. We can't just keep talking about it. We've got to make some moves and get a significant raise, whether it's everything we ask for or not. It needs to be significant.
All right. Smith County Sheriff Larry Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still to come, the Smith County District Attorney on the funding crisis in his office. We'll be right back.
When planning your weekend in East Texas, let adventure take the wheel. Get outdoors. Try something new. Discover local history. This is all right in your backyard, and planning your next adventure is at your fingertips. The East Texas Weekend, where you're never too far from fun.
And welcome back to East Texas Politics on East Texas Now. My next guest is Smith County District Attorney Jacob Putman. Jacob, thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
Appreciate it. We're talking about your budget request. This week you went before the Smith County Commissioners Court. Your PowerPoint presentation for the court said DA's office funding crisis. Tell us, what is the crisis and what are the possible solutions?
The primary crisis is our county's growing, and with a growing population comes growing crime. So law enforcement arrests criminals who committed a crime, they bring those cases to us, and over the last 6 years we've seen a steady increase in the number of cases we receive. We're now a couple thousand cases more than we were a few years ago, and we need more staff to read those cases so we can make sure justice is done in each one of those cases for our citizens of Smith County.
And what exactly are you asking for in the next budget?
We have asked for several positions, primarily paralegal positions, to help with moving that paper, making sure those files get made in a timely manner. Attorneys are expensive, obviously. I've only asked for one of those. In the future, we're going to need more as our county grows. But this year, it's 4 positions that are paralegals and 1 lawyer.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, your requests this year are identical to what you asked for last year, correct?
Now, this is a trend we've been seeing for the last several years. 2 years ago, I asked for 2 positions and I didn't get them. Last year, I asked for those 2 plus 1, that's 3, and I didn't get those. And this year, I'm asking for those 3 plus 2 more. Our workload continues to grow, and when our budget doesn't allow for more positions, that need doesn't go away. It just keeps growing and getting worse each year.
And so what happens if you don't get what you're asking for this year in full?
You know, we are committed in our office to making sure the right thing happens in every case. Some offices solve this problem by saying they're not going to prosecute certain kinds of cases, and that's not what we do. We're going to prosecute all the crimes in Texas. We're going to do a good job, but it means we have to slow down. It means we end up with a backlog. We can't get to every case as fast as we should. Citizens suffer when we do that. We don't like that, but we also don't want to not prosecute certain kinds of crime just because we're overworked.
And what's the blinking red light here? If you were only to get one of the things you're asking for in the next budget, what tops the list?
I try very hard every year to only submit the things I need, which is why if I don't get it, you see it the next year, I really do need it. So the blinking light, sadly, is everything that I put on there. I need all of those positions to make sure things go well this next year.
And to taxpayers who look at this, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the total request is $438,000, is that right?
That would be the cost of the new positions and salary adjustments for next year, that's right.
And so when taxpayers look at this and they're worried, you know, are my taxes going to go up to fulfill this need, what would you say to them?
I would say I don't want my taxes to go up. I'm a taxpayer here. I know nobody wants that. We have a tension between 2 things. People don't want their taxes to go up, but they also want good services from their government. They want the DA's office to do a good job if they're a crime victim. And that's a hard thing to balance, both of those. I can say the Texas legislature has put a lot of constraints on the county and how much more we can spend each year. Even we can't even spend as much as inflation is going up. So there are increases in revenue. Not all of those are increased taxes. There's some taxes that have actually been lowered by the legislature. But we're going to need additional revenue to meet the needs of the county and what the citizens want.
Is there difficulty in your office right now in recruiting and retaining new people, specifically prosecutors?
You know, this is the first time, I think, in the history of the world where there's not been enough lawyers. I've heard all the lawyer jokes. We know there's lots of things wrong with certain kinds of lawyers, but when it comes to prosecutors, we can't find enough of them. Our law schools haven't been graduating enough lawyers to meet the demand now for several years. Private firms can just pay more. Public sector, DA's offices, we try to increase our salaries, but we have those budget constraints that we talked about, and it just makes it hard to get people coming out of law school to move here to East Texas who want to practice, make a little bit less money, but fight for justice. Those are hard people to find.
And one of the things in your presentation to the Commissioner's Court this week was about attorney pay, starting pay, how it stacks up with counties of similar sizes, and in some cases, counties even smaller
That's right.
that are outpacing us. Their starting salaries are higher.
We don't try to compare ourselves to the private sector. You could probably make twice as much money in the private sector if that's what you wanted to do. If we just compare ourselves to other counties, other district attorneys' offices, we're probably 20% behind the average starting pay. So if we increased our salaries for attorneys by 20%, we would just be average. We wouldn't be leading the pack. We wouldn't be recruiting people ahead of other offices. We'd be keeping up. So we have a long way to go to become competitive in the state.
All right. What are we missing here, Jacob? What have we not talked about yet that you think is important?
You know, I think everybody has felt the strain of inflation when it's household budgets and trying to buy groceries that cost more or fuel costs going up. And so I hear that from citizens all the time, and we feel that too. Our employees who are trying to work for the citizens feel that, and we're trying to pass that along so they can continue to do the good work for the citizens here. They need a pay raise. Bottom line, if we don't compete with other counties, we won't have people moving here. And when someone's a crime victim in Smith County, there won't be anyone to work their case.
Still to come, Smith County Judge Neil Franklin. We're back with more East Texas politics on East Texas Now, right after this.
What if you didn't just check the weather, but understood it? Why storms build, where fronts come from, the story behind it all. Because weather isn't just in your forecast, it's everywhere. First Alert Weather Extra. It's just more.
And welcome back to East Texas Politics on East Texas Now. I'm joined now by Smith County Judge Neil Franklin. Judge, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Appreciate
Thank you for
being
having
here.
me, Blake.
We're talking about the budget.
Yes.
This is your life right now.
Yes, it is.
The Smith County budget. Last year's budget was tight. You told us that before the budget process, during the process, and after. Based off what we know now, will this year be any different?
I think this year's could be even tighter. I'm a little scared of it. We are looking at revenue. We don't know all that revenue. We won't know the revenue till the end of this month. Once we nail that down, we will be able to have a better look at it.
And it is early, and you still need those numbers. But looking at it now, do you think you'll have to raise the tax rate?
Well, in this scenario, because a few years ago in 2019, they actually, we had Senate Bill 2, I believe, that actually brought our cap from 8% down to 3.5% on the revenue cap. So that keeps us at a place that we cannot go outside of that unless we go to the public. So that's for a vote. I don't think that is recommended. That's not my plan. So no, I don't believe that we'll be doing that.
Now, when we look at the budget process last year, it was described by some elected officials and a political action committee as a wild ride, unprofessional, embarrassing. First question is, do you agree with that assessment of the process last year? And second, if you do, how will this year be different?
I think it was frustrating last year. We just had a new budget officer, and it was just kind of a interesting situation. We had not had one before, I guess for many years. But since I had been judge, we had not had one. So I think most likely, Blake, that this already seems better this year. I don't blame anyone in particular. Everything's moving smoother this year.
Now, your county auditor did step down before the end of her 2-year term. This happened within the last couple of months. That means your budget officer, who had been on the job since the start of the year, is now taking care of both positions for the time being, Mr. Hollis, Timothy Hollis. How do you think that impacts the process, having your county auditor the same person as your budget officer?
Yeah, this is done in a lot of counties. It's done that way, even without a budget officer. Mm-hmm. The county auditor acts as a budget officer. In smaller counties, the county judge is the budget officer. It all based on population and decisions we made. We made a decision to hire a budget officer, and speaking to our auditor, he encourages us to do that again. He would love to see somebody step into that role and help him out.
And at the last Commissioners Court meeting, you heard from the sheriff and his command staff and also the district attorney with some really big requests. A request for an increase in deputy pay to the tune of maybe $5 million. Some big requests from the DA's office. How likely is it that they get what they're asking for?
Yeah, that's correct. Those were big asks this time. Although, if I had all the money in the world, I love my co-workers at Smith County, and they all work hard. So I want to do as much as we possibly can for them. And I want to provide the best service we possibly can for Smith County residents. So with that said, we need some help from the state. We're at a place now where we're doing some things on property tax, which are fantastic. I'm a property tax payer too. But until they make a change and show us how they're going to fulfill those dollars that we're not bringing in now in revenue, we've got to figure it out. Whether it's going to be a consumption tax, whether it's going to be sales tax increase, we've got to figure that out because we're already seeing that decline in the revenue, and it really makes it hard on us. So it's going to be a challenge. We're going to do the best we possibly can for our employees.
And have you taken any of those concerns to any of our area lawmakers yet?
I have. I've spoken multiple times with them, and they seem very receptive, and we're trying to figure out exactly where that's going to land. I think the latest plans are to completely do away with property tax, and I just haven't seen a plan that seems like reasonably it can be done. So we're waiting to see on that respect, but we've got a lot of work to do, and we're going to do things. We'll have to be as creative as we possibly can this year.
Now, last year, following the budget approval process, you said the county's fleet, the vehicles, would need to be a top priority in the next budget, that being the one you're putting together now. Do you think you'll still be able to make that happen?
Yes, I think we're going to be able to do that. Capital dollars are not as hard as the general fund dollars, and people don't understand oftentimes with that. We have a fund balance, and our fund balance is, it expands every year, and so we need to spend some of that fund balance down, and with that we can do capital things. And so that's our hope, is to reduce that and make our employees' lives better in that respect.
And every year when you put together the proposed budget, there are typically a couple things or a few things. Some years just one really big priority. What are the top priorities for the next budget?
Well, the first priority is something we talked about last year. This new courthouse is coming online after the first of the year. And with that, we need positions in courthouse security, we need positions in maintenance, and we need positions in housekeeping. So those positions will be a priority. Plus, we already know from engineers and our architects, they've given us estimates on the amount of money that it's going to cost us to operate that new facility. It's about 5 times the size of the old courthouse. So it's going to be more expensive to operate. Even though it's newer and more efficient, it's just the space that's there. So we have to set aside the funds for that as well.
And you mentioned that. I mean, in looking at where does that money come from, that extra money?
Well, that's the money that we end up looking at. If there is money that we can step out there, we see revenue come in, we've just got to earmark it for all those items first. That really is going to be first and foremost. And then we hope to do a lot with that fund balance on the capital side. One thing that, Blake, I wanted to mention, one thing that people don't realize is we can't take those capital funds, that fund balance, and turn it into salaries or turn it into personnel. We can't do that. So we're going to try to do everything we can to remove the one-time purchases out of our general fund budget, take care of them with the capital funds, leaving space in that general fund budget for some other items.
And so tell us, Judge, what is next in the budget process?
We have another budget hearing workshop that will be coming up. I believe it's the 28th, and we'll have more of our department leaders and elected officials coming in to express their needs.
And in putting together a proposed budget and eventually a proposed tax rate, how important is it to hear from the citizens, the taxpayers?
It is always important to hear from the citizens and hear what they have to say and hear what's important to them. And I know that we've heard from quite a few the other day, and we all feel the same way. That's what's funny, is when they come in and say, we're really behind law enforcement. And I want to say, yes, we are too. We just have that challenge of finding the dollars to cover those costs.
All right. Anything we're missing here, Judge?
I don't believe so. Thank you, Blake.
County Judge Neil Franklin, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're back with more East Texas politics on East Texas Now, right after this.
Welcome back to East Texas Now. This is Hannah,
Kylie,
and Leo. And we're covering the stories you want to hear about.
live local news, breaking news, and interviews all day long, every day.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you were entertained and, more importantly, informed.
And guess what? You can watch us totally free with no subscriptions. You can just search KLTV 7.
This is East Texas Now, live local news all day long.
And that'll do it for this week's edition of East Texas Politics on East Texas Now. Thank you for joining us. I'm Blake Holland. We'll see you next week.